What do you get if you square negative 20? 400. If you square negative 18, you get 324. And if you add 400 and 324, you get your 724. So it does check. And same thing would happen with the positive numbers. So it's easy to check these and see if your answers work. Okay, I want everybody to try one. So if you'll write this practice problem down. The product of two consecutive positive integers is 90. Find the integers. The product of two consecutive positive integers is 90. Find the integers. And let me give you a hint before you start working on it. Notice this says product. Doesn't say sum like the other problem did. Notice it says consecutive positive integers. Positive doesn't matter at the beginning, but it says consecutive integers. Doesn't say consecutive even like the other one. So that's going to make a difference too. Okay, once you copy this, if you're watching the tape, once you copy the problem down, cut your tape off and work it. When you get it worked, cut the tape back on. So let's check and see if everybody did this correctly. First thing you should have done when you were starting to solve this was let x stand for your first integer. And because it did not mention even or odd, your consecutive ones are just one apart. So you should have x plus 1 as your second integer. Then because it said product, you should multiply them. And the product was 90. So once we multiply them together, we get x squared plus x equals to 90. And we need to solve that equation. So we move the 90 over. So our equation is x squared plus x minus 90 equals to 0. Now hopefully everybody tried to factor that and didn't go ahead and use the quadratic formula because the numbers are pretty small. Hopefully you factor 90. What would our factors be for 90? 10 and 9. Because we need them one apart, so we're going to get that 1x in the middle. So if we do x plus 10 and x minus 1, that will give us our 1x in the middle. Or will it? Won't give us our 90 on the end, will it? Okay. So x plus 10, x minus 9 will give us our negative 90, and then when we do negative 9x and 10x, we'll get our 1x. Okay. So then when we set those equal to 0, what are our answers? Negative 10 and 9. Now, if you stop right here, like when we test you on this, we would give you half credit for getting this x times x plus 1 equals to 90. And then we give you the other half for getting the finished correct answers. The finished correct answers would not be negative 10 and 9 because those are not consecutive integers. Those are just the first one of your pair. So you need to go ahead and add the 1 to them to get the second. But if you remember your problem said we were only talking about we wanted positive integers because our problem was the product of two positive. So since we said positive, you don't even need this one. You just take the 9 and add 1 to that and get your 10. So your answers are 9 and 10, not negative 10 and anything. Your answers are just 9 and 10. And then if you check that, it said the product of them is 90. The product of these would be 90. So you've got it. So you've got it. Now, something else I want to just mention. There might be one they give you in your homework in which once you do the work here, your x squares disappear. For example, if you did something with difference and you had squares in it, it might be that your squares would cancel each other out. If that happens, then you just go ahead and solve whatever you have left. If you just have x's left, you just have an easier equation to solve. The second part of this lesson deals with area problems. And we're really only going to do two kinds of area problems. We're going to do the area of a triangle and the area of a rectangle. And in order to do that, we've got to remember these formulas. So what's the formula for the area of a triangle? 1/2 the base times the height. That's the formula for the area of a triangle. The area of a rectangle is, what's the area of a rectangle? Length times width. We're going to need to use those two formulas as we do our problem. I'm going to do a triangle problem with you, and then I'm going to give you a rectangle problem to do, because usually the rectangles are easier because it doesn't have the 1/2 in it. So let's try a triangle area problem. The area of a triangle is 90 square inches. The height is 3 inches less than the base. And we want to find the base and the height. The area of a triangle is 90 square inches. The height is 3 inches less than the base. Find the base and the height. So let's draw a triangle. And I'm going to call this my base, and this is my height. Now, when the problem says the area is 90 square inches, it means the inside of the triangle is split up into 90 little square inches. It's square. One reason is because when you multiply inches times inches, you get square inches. Also because when you do area, you're splitting up into square units. So you don't really use the square inches, you just use the 90 when you're working out the problem. But the square inches is your unit of measurement for area. Now, any kind of problem like this, you always start by assigning variables. You have to decide first what your x is going to stand for. So we've got a base and a height. So we've got to let the x be one of them, and then the other one has got to be related to that. So which one will we let the base be? Which one will we let the x be? Would it be the base? Okay, it would be the base because the height is related to the base. So if we let the base be x, then we could let the height be what? Because the height is 3 inches less, so the height then would be x minus 3. That's right. So let's write this down so we'll know when we get to finish. X is the base, x minus 3 is the height. What you do is you read your problem and see, since the height is related to the base, it's always the one that stuff is related to that you let be x. X is the base, x minus 3 is the height. So if our area is 1/2 the base times the height, we just fill that in. Actually, I'm going to turn it around and do 1/2 base times height equals area. So I'll have my number on the end. So it's going to be 1/2 times x minus 3 equals to my area, which is 9. So all we do is just fill in and then figure out how to solve it.